Greetings from the end of summer in Europe as we go into a new season. And well, we've been. I'm not one for planning, too much, Linda. I make
Yeah.
some kind of plan, but I'm not one to have this rigid formula. I design an idea and go with it. If it doesn't work, I adjust it. And so we've been busy this week
Hmm.
planning. One of the things we're planning is our first live table tipping session in front of an
Wow.
audience, and then
Good.
planning uh, live table tipping for people who obviously can't make it to Vienna, for people across the world. So
Yes.
we've been kind of,
Like me, because I want to join it.
yeah, like you. So we've been really quite active in kickstarting what I call the new season. So, as the summer slowly fades away, I guess it starts kicking in for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so new
Well, do you
thing.
notice first time in months that I'm actually sitting here with a no sleeve on?
Yeah,
We actually hit 25 Celsius today, which is still below normal. Okay, at this time of year we should be about 28 Celsius by now, but today I look at me, I've actually got sleep. I feel raw. For the first time, I'm not wearing a long sleeve shirt. It's been about 3 months, isn't it, Mike?
mm,
Yeah, that just shows you how cold it's been here in Australia. We don't get it that cold. They
uh,
can say they're CC for all they want, um, but it's not, because there's so many places now where it's really cold as well.
yeah,
So, they're saying major thunderstorms here this week, which are totally unnormal.
right,
But then you go to websites. We have one here. It's called Australian,
yeah,
and then you put rain, so
yeah,
you make it one word,
yeah,
and then com, and then an AU after it,
right,
and they show you weather modification. It's out there for
yeah,
everyone to see it.
yeah, that,
And
yeah,
the thing is, people are blinded. I just shared a photo today of all the jet streams. They're spraying us again,
mm,
um, whatever that purpose is. But oh well. Oh well, it's all for our health and science, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, I was talking about the chemtrails and HARP coming up to 20 years now almost. And you're out there on your own. People look at you like you've got two heads. But
Yeah,
fortunately,
I know.
that chemtrail and HARP business has taken a lot of traction, and people, even the diehards now, are beginning to understand that exists. And it is for nefarious reasons. There is no
Oh, of course.
doubt about that. And they do it now in plain sight, as they've been doing it for many years. And before, they used to do it at dark, at night.
Well,
Yeah,
why? Because they know that we know that
yeah,
they know
yeah,
now, Mike.
yeah,
With everything.
yeah,
Their cover has been blown with everything now, so that now they don't have to hide it.
yeah,
Um, so it's like they're just too brazen.
yeah,
But what happens to people who are too brazen? They're too cocky.
yeah,
That's what we call them here. They're too cocky.
yeah,
They always burn.
yeah,
They fall hard. So this is what's happening, and it's gorgeous to see. What a time to be alive.
yeah,
Where we're a part of a global unity that is going to win.
yeah,
And I'm so grateful to be a part of
yeah,
this. I
yeah.
really am. It's amazing.
But
Yeah.
you got to remember, Linda, that you're not
Yep.
actually alive. You're a dead girl. Tell them your story.
So I went out with a friend this week. I was about half an hour drive from where I usually am, and this random man came up to me, and I thought, oh God, what's he doing? And he came like right up close to me, and he said, "You're that dead girl, aren't you?" And I said, and I looked at him, and I thought, oh, how do you answer that
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
And he said, "Oh yeah, you're Linda. You're on YouTube." And I thought, yes, I am. I am on YouTube. And he said, "Oh, I listened to your near-death experience stories. I like it." So I, it as I said to you off screen, Mike, you know, I'm very humbled by this.
Yeah,
But you know, it sort of still rocks me a little bit because I don't call myself a popular person
no,
yet, you know. But when random people just come up to me and they say, "Oh, I know you," and I think, "Well, no, you don't."
no,
You know, you're only seeing that side of me that does that. But at the end of the day, it is very flattering. And I know one of my big lessons here is to learn how to receive compliments.
yeah,
Because I am the one who always gives the compliments to everybody else. So, you know, I bring out the best in a lot of people.
it's actually a spiritual thing as well to accept.
Yeah, you know, so I love it when I come onto YouTube and I get really nice comments on my videos, and I just sit here and I think, oh my God, it's so good flattery.
Yeah.
But it's all about that ripple. You know, the video I did just the other day was called The Ripple Effect of Kindness.
Yeah.
And it's true. He didn't have to come up to me.
No.
He didn't have to confirm it.
No.
He could have just let me go around my business and just said, oh, yeah, that's her over there. You know, because he didn't ask for my autograph.
No.
You know, he didn't ask me to sign his T-shirt or anything, you know. He just wanted that acknowledgement that he watched me. But at the end of the day, he didn't have to do that.
No.
He could have just gone around his business. But he's allowed me to receive his grace.
Yeah.
Because, you know, his graciousness.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. So the more that we do it, the more we are spreading this out to other people.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as I said in my video, it is a pheromone that comes out of us when we're in a good mood. It's our dopamine level. It comes out like a pheromone. Pardon me. And it does interact and attach to other people. So the more that we love other people and be kind to them and generous and compliment them, etc., the more these lizards are hating it.
Yeah.
They have to run away.
Yeah.
And because this now is global, they've got nowhere. Well, the only place that I can see them actually running to is Antarctica.
Yeah.
And I'm not too sure who's down there, but I think it's already the dark ones that are down there because that's where the Queen goes down there, the Pope's been down there, all the presidents, they all go there. So we all know that these are the lizards, you know, they're not going down there to have powwows with the good aliens. So So, you know, they're getting drawn out now. They're getting drawn out because we know that they know.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I love it. Yes,
so,
it's amazing.
The old Donald Rumsfeld thing is that there are things that we know and things we know we don't know, and there are known things that we know, etc., etc., etc. But so I'm just happy that I'm part of this revolutionized awareness that we're now coming into, you know, and that's, I'm going to write that down because that was good, revolutionized awareness. Right.
You know, I love my little phrases. And, you know, you just think about what those two are. Revolution is breakthrough, you know, new, never done before. Awareness is our consciousness, our awakened state. So, yeah, we never have been here before at this as a global race coming together. Yeah. So I'm so proud to be here, Mike. I really am. Yeah. You know? Yeah. 6 months ago, I was thinking, why the hell am I here? But now I know because it's starting to happen now. You know, all the mandates are falling apart. You don't need to be jabbed to go and do your job now. You know, but they're still pushing it. Yeah. They're still trying to push it because they have, I'll just go there, Mike. They don't know any other way to do it.
No, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
They really don't. And they'll never fathom how we operate.
No.
Because that's why they failed. Yeah. Because if they knew originally how psychics, healers, spirit workers, all us good people, I don't like using the word good, but if they had realised how we operate, they could have so easily lost this, won this, I mean. We could have lost. Yeah. You know? If they said everybody that's doing all this type of work, you've got to have the job or else you can't go and do your job anymore, we would have all had to line up because it's our income stream. Yeah. But they didn't do it.
No.
They lost. Yeah. They lost because they were expecting us to follow the health.
Yeah.
The government build bodies like health, police, emergency services, ambulances, doctors, teachers. We didn't follow suit because we're not corporate.
No.
And that's where they failed.
Yeah.
They
underestimate human spirit all the time.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Yes. So I'm loving it, Mike. I'm
Yep.
so happy to be alive now.
Likewise.
You know, it really is gorgeous time to be alive now because it's only going, you know, they have to do something big because it's coming next year.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be the ramifications of what I've got to be careful. Oh, gosh. I've got to be careful. But it's going to be the consequence of what people have done to themselves.
Yeah.
We can't talk about it, Mike, because I've already had a warning on my channel where I mentioned something that looks like this.
Naughty Linda. Naughty Linda. Linda, we got a lot to get through. Should we go straight to the news?
And we've got news tonight.
Yeah, it's a little bit long, but what can you do?
It's all good. All good.
Let's run this and then we'll get this show on the road. Here we go.
Absolutely.
So here we are again. I'm back again. I missed your company last week, Katerina. I was poorly last week, but my dear friend, Mr. Ivor M. Ectine, sorted me out and got me back together again. And here I am, 5 days later,
Fabulous.
back on it. So what's new stateside?
Oh, stateside, we have lots happening, getting fall underway, just lovely colors changing, already see some brown leaves on the floor. Yeah, everybody.
And you're busy getting your festival together again.
Yes, I'll be doing my festival this year again, the Her Vision Film Festival.
Super. And let's give it a little plug, Katerina. What are the qualifications for joining this?
Well, it's not only for just women producers, writers, and directors. It's also for males who have a screenplay that shows either the plight of women or women with some agency. It also doesn't discriminate if you identify as female. So it's all just really to bring awareness of, you know, being able to be both a feminine presence that has kindness and gentleness, as well as being brave and courageous as a woman in the arts.
Like Jeanne d'Arc.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's begin with the news. What's first up, Katerina? What's the first creepy one you got for us?
We got a creepy mansion in Spain, the La Caro house. It's said to be haunted ever since the 16th century, where a woman, Catalina, was forced to marry an elderly man. She was in her teens, and her father, Antonio La Caro, wanted to marry her off to this elderly man. So, of course, she didn't want this life for herself, so she threw herself from the balcony into a well. And thusly, she killed herself, effectively. And since she killed herself, she wasn't granted a proper Christian burial. In fact, she was just sealed into a wall. The house became her tomb, essentially. And they say that to this day, you can hear her apparition just screeching in agony. And she also sometimes manifests in appearance, but that's more rare. Yes.
I see. Well, I tell you, I probably won't be buried in consecrated ground because I refuse to give a certain amount of my income to the Catholic Church, which apparently you're supposed to do in Austria. I think it's the same in Italy as well. So therefore, if the old law stands, I shall be wandering the earth plane somewhere looking for a place for my body to be laid to rest.
Aw. No, I'm sure you will have heavenly angels coming to greet you for all the good that you do for people.
But clearly this soul hasn't rested very well, and clearly she wants some kind of closure. So I wonder if anybody is helping her. I can't believe that for all this time you just want to carry on going through that same process of how you died and feeling the pain of the loss that you had on the earth plane. So maybe she might need a little bit of help, and somebody at some point will offer that assistance to her, which would be nice. But I guess more disturbing than this, what's going on with the ice creams? The world's gone insane.
Well, you can eat the rich now, the ultra rich. Like there is this ice cream truck that goes around New York, and it's called Eat the Rich, and they have ice cream pops in the shape of Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk. So one of the pops is you can munch on Musk. And they all taste in all these flavors like strawberry, and they're $10 a pop, so it's pretty expensive to eat the rich.
Well, I wouldn't think
For
they're
an ice-
too nice. There is a danger here, if anyone knows working with energy. If you start buying, I don't know, a Mike Cavalli ice cream, you will be absorbing Mike Cavalli's energy. So if you buy a Bill Gates ice cream that, you know, simply because it's got his name attached to it, there's a certain amount of Bill Gates energy you will be absorbing into your body. I think the rich know this, and I think it's a case of, oh great, they're doing work for us. And so I would be very cautious about this. Excuse me. So anyway,
Yes.
it's, you know, it gets even more bizarre because we spoke about the cannibal restaurant, and you know, it turns out that this is a fake or satire. But you know what? We need to go into more detail. I'm not so sure that it is a fake. We got spirit cooking and adrenochrome, and God knows what went on Pedo Island with Epstein. So I think I would reserve judgment. And the best form of defence is to come out and say, you know, oh no, it's only satire, blah 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 blah. But
Right.
what do you
Right.
think before we move on?
Well, I wouldn't put anything past the food industry because, look, hasn't it been scientifically proven that we ingest a credit card's worth of plastic every year? Like, there's been plastic fibers found in McDonald's hamburgers. So, I mean, would we be surprised by anything? God knows what's in a hot dog, right? So yeah, you know, and it made me think what you were saying with the eat the rich thing. Also, maybe be mindful of putting Monster Energy in your, you know, the energy drink in your body. Then you're absorbing the energy of monsters.
Well, if you look at the Monster label and that graphic that's on there, that's Hebrew for 666. And you know, they've got all other very low vibrational terms like MILF and things like this that they use. It's very dark and kind of satanic kind of drink, and God knows what chemicals are in there as well. But yeah, keep away from that stuff. Incidentally, before we go on to our last show, there was a heavy metal band that back in the days, I think early 80s, when they released their CD, their master tape, which is about 2 inches thick, they cut into tiny little squares and put in each CD, just a tiny square, because they know full well that you're bringing really the energy of that recording, because the disc is like, the tape is like a holographic thing, you know, so it's whole as one, and as a little piece it's still one, and you're bringing that energy into your home with you. So you just got to be very careful with the stuff that you buy. But anyway,
Yes.
excuse me. Final story, uplifting story.
Yes.
Apparently.
Proof of God, proof of Jesus loving us. There was a monk in the 18th century in Luciano, Sicily, Italy. I'm sorry, not Sicily. he started to have doubts about the Eucharist being the actual blood and flesh of God. So he just doubted and doubted, and then one day the Eucharist actually became flesh in front of his eyes, and the wine became blood. So yeah, and you can still go to this place in Italy today to see it.
Wow. And
Yeah.
was it witnessed, by many people, or just the monk?
I'm not sure. I believe by many, though, because it's still, to this day, you can go visit it. So if it wasn't at the time, I mean, it was during Mass that it happened. And I heard, too, that it wasn't the first time. There's something that also happened in the 8th century. St. Gregory's Mass, where the Eucharist turned into a bleeding finger of Christ.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, we've seen lots of these events. We spoke about the child that's body never decomposed, the saintly child whose body never and was it recently the hand that never decomposed? We spoke about.
Yes, Saint Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it is entirely possible, I believe, and we've seen the bleeding cross, or crying, the eyes on the cross. I've also got a clip of where they're saying a mass and the head of Christ on the cross moves. Bit creepy, that, I've got to admit. But you'd have to look into much more detail before you say, why did this happen? But I think it's
the
quite.
Stigmata.
Sorry.
The stigmata too of Padre Pio.
Yeah, the stigmata. Yeah. So a lot of these phenomena happen, and as you know, sometimes I get this cross on my nose when I do a deep meditation. So yeah, everything's possible. The only question is, why do they do it? Why does Spirit do it? That's
maybe to give us some assurance that yes, we are taken care of, despite all the monster energy drinks attacking us.
Okay, Katerina, time's up. We're out of time again. Perhaps we should do a show just talking about all of this, just as a one-off. But you're off to Italy soon for 6 weeks, so hopefully we can do some recording there, or do a couple of recordings in advance. So
yes, both, I'm sure.
Yeah, and in the meantime, what are we to do, Katerina?
Stay curious, my friends.
So there we are. I tell you, Linda, very briefly, what do you think of this Eat the Rich thing and, absorbing their energies?
I have personally never heard of this before, so it quite disturbs me, because I know as soon as we think, we create, and I also know that how we feel, like our emotional state when we eat, the food that we're eating actually creates that energetic emotion as well, so it goes within us. So if I was eating something that resembled somebody I didn't like, that means then that I am creating things I don't like within me. So how do they get away with it, Mike? I just don't understand how they get away with doing it.
Well, nothing surprises me in this world. But
nothing surprises me either.
It's like Dr. Emoto, Messages from Walter. He actually said, look, we know smoking is bad for us, but if you're going to smoke, enjoy it. Otherwise, the effects of saying, oh my God, this is bad for you, what am I doing to my health? It's going to have an even bigger impact on your health. So, smoke it. If you shouldn't eat chocolate and I've got to have a bit of chocolate, enjoy it, eat it. The worst thing you can do is have something and not enjoy it. It kicks off these chemical reactions, so...
I know. Oh, it's
there
just
you go. Mel says, I agree with Linda. We think, we create. Yeah.
Perfect. So And that's where we just have to be discerning on what we do with being told what we should do.
Yeah.
We
are sovereign.
For 2 years, we are sovereign. And for 2 years they've been telling us to do certain things. Many things have been telling us to do.
Yeah.
And if your gut says it's not right, then obviously don't go out of your way to let them know that you're not going to do it, because then you get caught.
Yeah.
But, I didn't do certain things that my government here in Australia wanted me to do. I'm still okay. I know, so shocking. But,
naughty.
I haven't been sick though, mate.
No.
And this is where I get so upset with it, that they knew all along the outcome.
Yeah.
They knew it the whole time.
Yeah.
They knew what these medical procedures and everything was going to do, and they still lied to us about it.
Yeah.
For us to all believe it. And that's what hurts me the most.
Yeah.
But I would certainly never eat anything that said Bill Gates or Donald Trump or Biden or any political person. I would not go there. Any independent company like that company of World Health.
Oh yeah.
I'd never do anything.
The World Homicide Organization. Yeah.
That's it. Because we're creating it. And, even as Mel just says, we do.
Yeah.
And Mel, thank you saying that you're still alive. Hands up to you too, darling girl. Boy, I don't know, Mel could be a boy's name. But it's all good, because at the end of the day, we've got to go with our guts, because we've all got a life contract. How many people have we heard where they're highly spiritual, but they've been told to take it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes, they've had consequences, okay? I know a few psychics who have been, I've got to be careful with how I say it, so I'll just hold this up and so you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
But they're all sick, and they're not getting better.
Yeah.
But we don't know what their life contracts were.
No.
We don't know what their life lessons are. We don't know what lessons they are to teach others.
Yeah.
So we can't discriminate. We can't say, hey, why did you do that? Why?
Yeah.
Because, we're all individual, Oh, wow. So at the end of the day, though, it's turned around, Mike. It really has now.
Yeah.
Because they know that we know that they know, and it's so good,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, so where are we going
We're
to
going to the ghostly haunting, where this guy really sort of doubles back quite rapid here. But I'd be interested in your thoughts. Obviously, I've got my thoughts, and anybody watching or listening, please give us your thoughts on this. So let's run this and see what you all think.
In this clip, we see the uploader seemingly in a panic as he closes and locks a door. Something starts knocking at the door. Clearly spooked, he runs to another room, slamming the door shut behind him. A few more seconds pass before he decides to take a peek. Suddenly, the door that he had locked bursts open. Next, we see the uploader as he descends the basement stairs. He turns the lights on and pans the camera around. Seeing nothing unusual, he turns the lights off and begins walking back up. Suddenly, he hears another disembodied knock. Doubling back, we can see that the light in the room is on, and the wooden rocking horse, which was still earlier, is now moving. In this last clip, we see the uploader searching his bathroom after hearing some more strange noises. As he's inspecting the cabinets, he suddenly shifts the camera to the shower. Take a look at what he sees. A shadowy hand with long gnarled fingers is briefly visible before slipping from view. So is this the figure that's supposedly haunting his house? To see more of RV Godoy's creepy encounters, head over to his TikTok channel. It's well worth the watch. As always, I'll leave links in the description box below.
So, shall I go first?
Off you go.
I think this is fake. I honestly do.
So,
Go on.
why? Why do you think it's fake, Mike?
I think it's fake because I think there was some quite clever camera work there. Everything happened, like for example, he closes the door, opens it, and you see the door open. There could have been anyone in that room. We never saw that before. You would go into that cupboard first, is what I would think, or you'd get the hell out of there. And the rocking horse, you go down to, you hear knocking, could be anything. You look around, so it's easy to hide somebody under the camera. Then you turn the light off, you hear the knocking, turn the light on again, and the horse is rocking. Could be easily done. Plus the fact I did feel that his breathing and his fear didn't sound genuine to me. So you may contradict me completely, Linda.
I'm not going to contradict you, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not contradicting you at all because I also think it's fake.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because the announcer actually said it. This guy's got his own TikTok channel
Right.
where he posts all this stuff. So if he was posting all this stuff, then why is it so unprofessional? Why is he... I'll go through each one, okay,
Yeah.
quickly, and tell you why I don't like him. The first one, the door, exactly what you said.
Yeah.
If you've run away, why does he open it just in time, ironically, because there's no there's no coincidences here.
Yeah.
As he opens the door, you see it open up.
Yeah.
Oh, what luck that was.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't like that. It was too coincidental, right?
Yeah.
The second one with the basement. Now, the basement, the first thing I've got to say here, when we're standing in a room and we hear knocks,
Yeah.
our ears pick. You know, like a cat's ears, they turn. You follow the noise,
Yeah.
but cameras don't know how to do that.
No.
And I'm pretty sure that this guy knows that
Yeah.
because it could be just anybody
Yeah.
standing there or him himself because he's holding the camera with one hand,
Yeah.
bang, bang, bang with the other. So at least it's got the thing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't like that knock
No.
because both of them sounded the same distance away from the camera.
Yeah.
Huh. Ironic.
Yeah.
I don't like ironies
Yeah.
with paranormal, right?
Yeah.
So we go down to the basement. The lights, the door, what's it called? The light switch
Yeah.
is turned up, which is obviously America because the up is off.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
here, I don't know, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you can see that it's off. He opens the door and the first thing he zooms in on is that rocking chair.
Right.
So he's already giving us that subliminal
Yeah.
thought, watch the rocking chair.
Yeah.
Then he moves around and as you said,
Yeah.
someone else could be standing there behind him.
Yeah.
And they're just standing beside the door because he doesn't show all the way around.
Yeah.
Then he turns it off. He goes upstairs. You hear the knock, knock, knock. So he turns around. Oh my God, I don't like it. I don't like it, Mike.
Yeah.
And then as he comes back down, the first thing you see is that he goes straight to the rocking chair.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No.
Okay, it's too set up.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay,
Yeah.
Now the bathroom hand.
Yeah.
One thing I do like about this bathroom hand is that where the shower ends, that's where the hand is there. So there can't be anyone there because that's the end of the shower, and then there's a toilet outside the shower. So I actually think that this is something set up where they're like pulling it across somehow.
Yeah.
Because anyone could be in that shower because you don't see the ground.
Yeah.
Someone could be crouching there.
Yeah.
Because he knows how to video, this guy. You can tell that he knows how to video. He's got his own new TikTok bloody channel.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to say all three are fake.
Yeah.
I wish I wasn't saying it because I love paranormal videos.
Yeah.
But I don't like that hand.
No.
That hand just...
It was actually archetypical of, the, what's his name, Nastafaru's hand, the big vampire long hands, and very archetypical of the hand of a spirit that hasn't properly manifested yet. It was too perfect in that respect.
Yeah. Mel's saying alien.
Yeah.
I've seen aliens, Mel. I've been up close. I touched an alien once. Don't ever do it. Don't do it. I've seen aliens. They do have long, accentuated fingers.
Yeah.
Their fingers, like I've got short little fingers here in Australia. Look at my little fingers. They're little stumpy little fingers. Right, I can actually do 5 octaves on a keyboard, but, because my fingers stretch. But, anyway. But aliens' fingers go out to about here.
Yeah.
They're really long. They're very long fingers on the tall greys. That just didn't look right.
Yeah.
It really didn't
And you
just
know
didn't
what,
look right.
Linda, if all that was freaking him out with the sounds and seeing the rocking horse, if he'd have seen that hand, that would have just freaked him out completely. But he was pretty much calm with that. And, after everything else that's going on, to see a hand like that, I would have thought he would have been out of there like a flash, but he wasn't.
Okay, here we go. Any person, if you saw that in your house, you'd be ringing someone to come and help you do it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And whether it be a priest, psychic, a medium, anybody, you'd say, come and help me video and get this evidence.
Yeah.
So why is he there still doing his TikTok channel by himself?
Yeah.
Huh.
The answer is he's not.
He's actually debunked it himself.
Yeah.
He's actually shown how fake it is by the mere fact that he's promoting it.
Yeah.
Oops.
Okay. Moving on. Dr. Moon.
It's all good.
Dr. Moon time slip. I'll say my little bit after this. I would say I've experienced not something particularly like this, but I have experienced, what the hell, that wasn't there a minute ago type of thing. So we'll just watch this and then see what you all think, and I'll just give a little bit more detail on something that happened to me, no pun intended, many moons ago. Here we go.
Dr. Moon. In 1935, a Scots physician by the name of Dr. Moon had a practice in Broadstairs in Kent, UK, and was in the village of Minster in Thanay, also in Kent. He was visiting a patient of his called Lord Carson, who lived at Cleeve Court. After talking to Lord Carson, the doctor left his patient and made his way downstairs into the hallway. At the time, his mind was totally occupied with the instructions he had given the nurse about the prescription he had left for Lord Carson. As Dr. Moon was about to exit the premises, he suddenly hesitated as he had forgotten about an important issue he wished to discuss with the nurse regarding the prescription. While still at the front door, he looked outside and noticed that his car was no longer parked in the driveway. Yet he remembered parking it alongside a thick yew hedge, but the hedge was also missing. As the doctor looked at the surrounding environment, he also noticed that the main road that he had driven down had somehow been replaced by a muddy track. As he continued to look out in total confusion, he noticed a man coming towards him. As the man grew closer, he noticed that he was rather oddly dressed and was wearing an old-fashioned coat with several capes around his shoulders. He wore a top hat on his head that appeared to be from the 19th century. As he walked, you could see him smacking a branch against his boots, and swung over his shoulder was a long-barreled gun. The man then abruptly stopped and stared hard at the doctor. Dr. Moon stared back, sensing that this man looked straight out of the 19th century. Because the whole scenario had taken place in a matter of seconds, he did not appear alarmed or even surprised at the unusually dressed man and the changed scenery, or even his missing car, as he had more important things on his mind. He was more concerned with Lord Carson's prescription and abruptly turned and went back into the house. However, he did quickly turn back at the unusual scene that had just taken place, and, as if by magic, his car was back where it parked it alongside the hedge, and the driveway was no longer a muddy track. The man had also disappeared, which at that moment made Dr. Moon realise that something extremely odd had just occurred. Dr. Moon appears to have been caught in a time slip or some sort of hallucinatory state. Because of his important role in the community, he decided to tell only his very close friends of what he'd just experienced, and it was only after his demise that the story was officially revealed.
Yeah. My little incident was nothing like that by any stretch of the imagination. It was just a simple case of, I'm somewhere in the greenery and I turn around to do something, turn back, and it changed. And when I went like that, very quick, what the hell, it all went back again. So I don't know really what that was all about. So that's my...
Well, Mike, every day I'm hearing more and more that what would you call it, the veil, their blinders are off. I don't know.
Yeah.
But things like this are now starting to occur more.
Yeah, absolutely.
What irks me with these type of stories that we're hearing is that they see other people when they have this slip, but they're not interacting with them or getting information that would prove it.
Yeah.
I
think there was only one story, and it was the couple that was on holiday in France, and they couldn't believe how cheap it was, and the police come in dressed very old-fashioned, and they actually paid for their bill, and they did interact with the guest house owner.
But they didn't take anything away that says, look what I've got, and it's a brand new coin from 1905.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Yeah. Or what I would love to see, now this is way out there, okay? The man saw this man wearing the early 1900 clothes.
Yeah.
Imagine if he'd gone up to him and said, oh my God, my name's Linda Kramer and I'm from the year 2022.
Yeah.
And then we go and research that guy, and in his notes or his diary, he says, I saw this woman today on the road. She was in futuristic clothing.
Yeah.
And she said her name was Linda Kramer from the year 2022.
Yeah.
How amazing would that be?
Yeah.
Because that would prove that this actually occurred.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this stuff doesn't occur, because it does.
Yeah.
Even one of my neighbours told me a weird thing. I actually saw my neighbour today, but we didn't get time to talk about. I want to actually get her to give her a story about what happened, because her time slip stopped her having a major car accident where she nearly died.
Yeah.
So I'm really keen to get it written down so I could read it out.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah.
Okay.
So I thoroughly believe that this is all happening. And, how it happens, I don't know if it's a time slip or a bilocation or like a convergence if you're into the Marvel movies or whatever.
Yeah.
But because I'm not a scientist, I can't definitively put my finger on the theory that proves this.
Yeah.
But the very fact that it does occur is sufficient for me.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. I love it.
I think
Wow.
the theory of parallel worlds coming together, parallel universes coming together, because the veil is getting thinner and thinner, is probably more digestible to a lot of people
Yeah,
than a simple
it
time
really
slip.
is.
You know, because when
It
we look at
is.
time slip, we often think of it as you know, the way our time runs. You know, which I've forgotten the name. It's linear. That's it.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and so it's difficult to get your head around the fact that in other dimension there is no linear time. It just was, is, and will be all at the same
And that's
time.
right.
So
Yes. Yeah.
anyway, moving
Yeah,
on.
we better get
We
on.
better get on.
We're going over to Romy Crease.
Romy Crease reincarnation, a beautiful
Yeah.
story, and I just think we should, anyone who has children, babes, should really encourage them, I think, to tell their story about their life before they come to mummy and daddy.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah. So let's have a listen and see what you all think.
Yeah.
Number 6. Romy Crease, Iowa, USA. Romy was born in 1977 to Barry and Bonnie Crease of Des Moines, Iowa. Her parents were devout Catholics and so were completely unprepared for what happened when she began to talk about her past life. She would talk about her previous life as Jo Williams. She had insisted that she had grown up in a red brick house in Charles City, a town 140 miles from Des Moines. She said that she had married a woman named Sheila and they had 3 children. Romy claimed that both Jo and Sheila had been killed in a motorcycle accident that Romy described in considerable detail. She also feared motorbikes and would have a panic when one zoomed past. She was also able to recall other incidents from Jo's life, where he'd started a fire in the home and his mother, Louise Williams, had burned her hand trying to put out the fire. Romy also claimed that his previous mother complained of a pain in her right leg, which she'd also injured in the fire. Romy often asked to be taken back to Charles City because she wanted to reassure her previous mother, who he called Mother Williams, that everything was okay. They eventually visited Charles City, where Romy insisted they buy Mother Williams some blue flowers, as they were her favourite, and that when they arrive at the house, they must not use the front door but go to the back door. After checking the phone book, they found a Louise Williams listed, and Romy was able to direct them. When they arrived at the house, to their amazement, there was a note on the front door requesting them to use the back door. An elderly woman answered holding a crutch with a bandage on her right leg. Louise Williams was ecstatic to receive the flowers and said she had never had any flowers since her son Jo had given her some many years before. Romy then told her everything about her past life as Jo, where Louise Williams could not believe how she knew all of these facts and confirmed everything Romy had said, saying, "Where did this girl get all this information? I don't know anyone living in Des Moines." She explained that she and Jo had lived in a red brick house, as Romy had said, but this house had been destroyed by a tornado that had damaged much of Charles City 10 years ago. Jo helped us build this house, and he insisted we keep the front door shut during the winter. Louise Williams was able to confirm many details of Romy's narrative about Jo, including his marriage to Sheila, their 3 children, the names of other relatives, and the fire in a home in which she had burned her hand. She was also able to verify Romy's precise description of the motorcycle accident in 1975, 2 years before Romy was born. Louise showed her a family album where Romy was able to identify everyone in the photos. Despite this confirmation, neither she nor Romy's parents were prepared to accept the possibility that her daughter was the reincarnation of Jo Williams. "I don't know how to explain it, and I find it hard to believe," observed Romy's mother, "but I do know my daughter isn't lying."
That was
How can you not deny it? How can you not deny it?
yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was quite a powerful one. as I said, you know,
Oh, yeah.
I think it'd be good for newly mothers and fathers to encourage their children to talk about it, and certainly if the child starts talking about it freely, to encourage it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I think we can help break down some barriers about past lives and you know, karma from past lives and genetic inheritance and things like this. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Wow, just what an amazing story.
yeah,
You know, that was just, I just don't know how her parents can actually sit there and say, we don't believe it.
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
How can they deny it
yeah,
when you've got that sort of proof? Wow.
yeah.
You know, obviously they're scared.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
is this our child? Is
Yeah.
it a possessed child? You know, is it possessed? You know, do we have to call in the monks and the priests? But at the end of the day, you know, we've got to understand those parents, you know, they wanted their daughter,
Yeah.
or there's Romy was a daughter, wasn't she?
Yeah, yeah,
You know, they wanted her to be their little girl.
yeah.
They didn't want her to be an adult man married with kids
No.
himself.
No,
You know, so of course they were scared, so they have to go into that cognitive dissonance
yeah,
and deny what
Yeah.
was happening.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
too painful. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, it is too painful, but what an
Yeah.
amazing story it is.
yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
our final story, Melissa's
Yes.
after-death communication. It's not an NDE, but this is where the person passing spirit sits on the end of bed and has a chat with her mother. I got to say, this happened to me as well. I had a spirit who I knew sat on the end of the bed and had a chat with me. Happened twice. Hasn't happened since.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, look at Ray. Hey, before we go there,
Yeah.
Mike, sorry.
Yeah.
When my neighbour Roy died,
Yeah.
3 nights later, he turned up at the end of my bed. I meant to tell you when we first started tonight, at about 6 o'clock, it's dark here now at 6 o'clock,
right,
I actually went outside. Roy's house was totally in darkness.
right,
They are renovating it
Right.
now that the bad neighbours have moved out. The new tenants,
Right.
they're only there for a year. But when I went out at 6, the whole house was in darkness. When I went out there at 5 to 7, when we were doing the intro,
yeah,
his bathroom light's on.
yeah,
It'll be interesting to see, because I'll go and have a look because this is 7 minutes, this
Yeah.
one. So I'll go outside and just see if it's still on.
yeah,
But it probably will be.
yeah,
But there's nobody in there
yeah,
because the whole house is empty,
Yeah.
and there's no blinds on any windows, so you can
Yeah.
see through the whole house now
yeah.
from my side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'll go and have a look and see if there's anyone in there. But at 6 o'clock, it was dark.
Totally dark.
That house.
Okay.
So I don't think Roy's left yet.
No, I don't think he has. Alrighty, let's run this last one. Melissa's
Yeah.
after-death communication. Here we go.
Yeah.
It ended up that she started lying to me. And that was the one thing that we always drew the line, was when somebody lied in the house. And so I kept saying, Melissa, you're lying. Melissa, you're lying. The next thing, Melissa, you're lying. Get in the car. You're going to be late for school. So we go to school, and all the way there, the two of us are fighting. My last words to her as she's getting out of the car is, Melissa, you are a little liar, and you're grounded forever. And she slams the door and stomps off into school after she had told me all morning how horrible I was and how she didn't like me and she didn't want anything to do with me. So she goes into school, and her dad and I and her little brother, who was 5 at the time, we take off to the city. We go to my husband's mother's house, and she was to be picked up by a babysitter who was a very good friend of ours and had a daughter her age. So they get to the house, and the mother calls, and she says, you know, the kids are graduating out of middle school and they're having a dance farm tonight, a street dance. Can the girls go? And I said, no, Melissa is grounded. She's grounded forever. She lied to me. She cannot go. And her dad gets on the other phone and says, oh, let her go to the dance, but you have to pick her up. So the mother came after the dance, picked them up, but the other girl's boyfriend had a friend that had just gotten a car, a brand new Corvette. And so the guys followed the mother into our house and said, can we take the girls for one ride and bring them straight home? So the other mother says, sure, go ahead, no problem. So they all pile in to this little Corvette, put the top down. They take one spin through town, and on the way home, they flip the car over 3 times, and 3 of the kids were killed. Now, this whole time, I'm still mad, and I go in to the bedroom, and I'm laying down reading, and because I'm too upset still, because I'm mad, that I just didn't want to be with the big group. So I just went in the bedroom, and all of a sudden, Melissa is sitting on the edge of the bed. And I'm looking at her, and she says, Mom, she says, you were right. She says, I was lying to you. She says, I don't know how you knew it, but I was lying, and I'm sorry. And I said, I know you were lying. And I said, it's okay. I said, we'll work this out. Everything will be fine. And she says, I want you to know I love you. And I said, well, I love you too, kid. But, you know, these things happen. And then all of a sudden she was gone. And I looked over at the clock, and it was 11:50. And I thought, there was such a calm that came over me. I thought, you know, I think I'll just lay down and go to sleep. And the whole day, the anguish from the whole day, the whole argument, it had just gone out of my body. And I just laid down and I went right to sleep. And I didn't even hear my husband come in when he came in to go to bed. And about 12:30, the telephone rang. And when the telephone rang, I knew she was dead. I absolutely knew that she was dead. And I jumped out of bed, and I was in on the kitchen phone before my husband could roll over and pick up the phone. And it was the other mother. And sure enough, the kids had been in an accident, and they were declared dead at 12:01. Melissa was. But the doctor had actually said that she had died at the scene, but they couldn't declare her dead until they got her to the hospital. When Melissa died, for some reason, and I don't know why, I do not have any idea why we thought that Michael just would not miss Melissa. We just thought, you know, Michael is here, you know, Melissa is gone now. He's never going to miss her. So why tell him? He doesn't understand what death is. He's just, you know, a little kid. He, you know, it'll just be something that just happened, you know. If he asks us, Melissa just went to live someplace else. I have no idea what we were thinking. I said to him, I said, Michael, I said, I'm sorry, we never talked about this. Are you okay? And he says, Mom, I'm fine. He says, I talk to Melissa all the time. He said, she lived in the closet. And he said, she'd come out and she'd talk to me. She told me all about the accident. She told me about the car flipping and about her flying out of the car. And he says, I know where the tennis shoe is. I said, Michael, what are you talking about? He says, I know where Melissa's tennis shoe is that you couldn't find. And I said, how do you know about that? And he says, Melissa told me where it was, told me all about it. And I thought, this is unbelievable, because nobody knew that we were looking for that tennis shoe except her dad and the funeral director. I said, we didn't tell anybody else, but that was just something that we wanted to find to bury with her, because those tennis shoes were so important to her. And it was status at that time. And she and her dad had fought over whether she could have the tennis shoe. And finally, I went out and bought them, and I thought, I'm going to bury those shoes with her. But we never could find the tennis shoe.
Yeah, bit of a strange setting there. A lot of tension in that family, it feels like. But
Yeah.
they did what they felt was the right thing. But, you know, importantly, the Melissa came back and in many ways put things right, at least emotionally.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. You know, people who come to me for mediumship, you know, I always go through the warnings and what could happen before I actually do it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always say religiously is, don't expect who you want to come through today to come through, because that's just our ego. If
Yeah.
they're not ready, or they can sense that we're still in grief, they're not going to come through.
Sure.
You know, if they've because they know our whole lives when they go home, so they may not want to come and see us for another 5 years, or until we get through something personal.
Yeah.
So we should never ever expect a spirit of a loved one to come through. Also, you go to a John Edwards show, you want to connect with your mother or your daughter, and it will be your Uncle Bob that comes through. You know, so we can't just say who we expect to come through. It's their discretion under their own free will who does come through ultimately. You know, and that's one of the hardest things to accept, especially when we're grieving, that we just have this insatiable need to connect with them to make sure that they're still okay.
Yeah.
But believe me, that they're fine. They're fine. You know, So it does get hard, you know. And this lady that was just telling that story, you can see that she's still burdened by that grief.
Yeah.
You know, but amazing that she's able to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, because her story wasn't very succinct. It wasn't flowing.
No.
So you can tell that she was stressing about and just coming out with bits here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
So, you know, but kudos to her for coming out and giving her story like she did, because ultimately that's part of her grieving process as well, to realise that Melissa's still there and she's still coming through, you know, and why did she pick the boy to talk to, you know, and not her mother, her father, her sixth grade primary school teacher or whoever, you know, who makes that decision of who they come and see ultimately, you know? So we can never say, you know, I remember when my grandmother died and I rang my mother, and because it was my mother's mum who died, my grandmother, and I remember Mum saying to me, why did she ring you for? We can't ask those questions. We never can, because that's just our own ego of wanting that closure within ourselves. But they will never supply that closure, because only we can create that closure for ourselves. You know, we're the ones that create that, as we were talking about earlier, what we think we create.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so we've got to deal with our own personal reasons as to why we expect or trying to control an outcome.
Yeah.
And with spirit, they do not comply ever to what we want.
No.
And that's a hard thing for people to realise. Yeah.
I mean, what I would say is, before we wrap it up, quite often, if you want to speak to Mum and Uncle Bob comes through, quite often Uncle Bob is the link or the frequency link to help connect with Mum and you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your vibration is still not actually synced with Mum's vibration, but by going through Uncle Bob, it helps balance that vibration out. And so that's the other reason. So you should just accept what's given. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, even if nobody comes through, Mike, it's still an appreciative time, you know, something to be grateful for. Even when someone doesn't come through. You know, I say it like this. 200 people will go to see John Edward, but only 5 get their spirits confirmed. So that's in effect 195 people at those shows don't get to visit with those spirits that they want to connect with.
Yeah.
So think of it in that perspective.
Yeah.
You know, don't try to be one of the 5 who does.
Yeah.
Be one of the 195 who believes and trusts that their spirit relatives are okay at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, because they are. They really are. Yeah. You know, the only bad situation that we have is the hell situation. And, you know, not even a lot of people go there. You know, it's only, and I can't connect with those in the hell loop at all. So, you know, if they don't turn up, it could be a possibility where they are.
Yeah.
You know, because there has been times when I've had a client and I say, no, I'm not getting that person today, but I've got this person, you know. They're either busy or they may be somewhere else, but I don't like saying that because that's just an assumption. But at the end of the day, we all can break that hell just by getting through our grudges and our issues,
and,
you know.
And, of course, a friend of mine who has passed was a Jehovah's Witness. Lovely lady, actually. Never tried converting me or anything. But, you know, the choice is hers. When she dies, does she choose to lay in rest, waiting to be resurrected as for her teaching, or does she see when she's on the other side through guides and learned spirits, etc., that there is another way? So
absolutely,
I think
you
we do get the choice.
Yes.
You know, and
how
then
many
it's up
people,
to her.
Yeah. How many people have we had on the show, NDE stories, where they say that they were met by other people?
Yeah. I want to be.
And then you got me, and
doggies.
I turned up there. Sorry, say that again.
I want to be met by my doggies. My little doggies, lovely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well they're all there, Mike. You know.
Sure. Yeah.
I saw so many animals there.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. Hey. Yep.
Linda.
Well, yeah, it's that time of the night,
I've
Mike.
got a dash. I've got a dash.
I know.
So
you've got a day ahead of you, and I've got to go to bed.
Yeah. That's the way it is.
Oh, well, as usual, honey, guys, everybody listening, if you do have an NDE, angel story, time slip story, and ghost intervention story, what we're asking for anybody who would like to have their story read out on our show, there's a couple of ways you can video it if you want to be on screen. Or just email Mike and myself. I'm actually just going to put my email in now as a comment. So you can email us and just say, hey, this is my situation. I'm happy to read it out on the show. So, you know, and we just say, it's Pete from California or something like that. Here, this is what his story was. We want real life stories, guys.
Yeah.
Okay?
Please, yeah.
I want real life stories to be on the show because this is now happening to a lot more of us.
Yeah.
And the more of us that share and the more that say, hey, this is real, the more we do create this. So we do start using our own innate abilities.
Exactly.
What we think, we create. And I think that was motto for tonight, Mike, because
Yeah.
we've said it a few times throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
What we do think is what we create. So this week, guys, create what you want in your future. Allow the universe to put everything into your path that you need to succeed in that, and just trust it. Okay?
Good way to end
Yeah.
the show,
All good.
Linda.
Love your work, Mike. Yep, I got to head to bed.
Yep.
Okay,
See you all
darling,
next week.
Have a nice day, everyone. Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.